I came here to save you.
The fortress is taken.
It is over.
Do not cite the deep magic to me, witch. I was there when it was written.
You're my only hope.
We shall fight on the beaches.
There will be days when we lose faith.
We band of brothers.
But take heart. Look around you. You're not in this fight alone.
I bid you stand! Men of the West!
Hey everybody, this is Caleb with KingsAdvisors, and today we're going to kind of look over the Ahsoka trailer from Star Wars Celebration. Now, this came out on day one of Star Wars Celebration, which was Friday. Yep, Friday. And honestly, I'm a little excited for it. I really enjoyed Rebels, so there's some really cool stuff that I think we might see in this. So I'm going to start playing this, and I'll definitely be stopping and interjecting throughout the clip. Now, the first thing I want to say, and I'll say that I thought this and then kind of had my feelings confirmed by a much bigger and better YouTuber than myself. But I thought it was weird that we open with this scene and these broken pillars look rather animated almost. It's almost like if you go and watch that Prince of Egypt movie from DreamWorks, there's two different forms of animation in them. And this kind of looks like one of those forms of animation. It's just, I don't know if it's just the way that their stuff's built. Maybe they are green pillars for green screen that they're then edited. But it just kind of looks computer generated. It starts out with Ahsoka saying something's coming.
Something dark.
I'm going to lower the volume. I do want to show this. So what's interesting here is, okay, so we've got, my assumption is that this is a Jedi temple. There isn't really anything, at least that I can tell, that it's obvious what this is, but the circular part of it all, we got this little thing right here. It just feels Jedi-ish. So what's interesting here is you just saw her force throw her lightsabers. Now you need to remember these are the lightsabers that Anakin gives her at the end of the 7th season of Clone Wars. I guess the beginning of the 7th season of Clone Wars. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that she force throws them into the ground and then does this to get down there.
I sense it.
So she's still Rosario. I'm gonna butcher her name, and I'm gonna apologize. Dawson looks very good as Ahsoka. I've always thought it was an excellent casting choice, and the makeup department did an incredible job. And she moves very good with lightsabers. I think she does a very good job. And it's not as clanky and clunky as, say, Ahmed Best's lightsaber performance in Mando episode 20, I think it was. Let's see. This was a big thing. I've seen a lot of people talking about this. Why is the Lucasfilm logo red? Now, I have a bit of a problem with that because it just, Lucasfilm's always been, for me at least, I feel like it may have changed, but it's always been a green logo for me. It was always that green of Luke's lightsaber. I don't like the red. Now, I think the red has to do with Thrawn's eyes. We know that Thrawn is in this. I think it has to do with his eyes. I think he's bad. He's the bad guy. And this is going to be about the battle with him. So here we go. We get Sabine Wren with a Lothcat. Sabine Wren looking a little like Ezra Miller. I think I've made it pretty clear my opinions on Ezra Miller. I don't like that Sabine has long hair. In the Rebels, at least again, as much as I can remember, Sabine always had short hair. So for me, Sabine has short hair. I think visually she looks very much like Sabine. In fact, I would say visually they do a very good job casting this entire show. I just don't like the long hair. I don't know if it's supposed to show passage of time. There's something a little bit later in this trailer that kind of makes me think it's not a passage of time thing, but I don't know. You tell me in the comments. What do you think? Do you think this is supposed to be a passage of time thing, or do you think it's just something that they decided to do? So
For some,
then we've got new types of Magna Guard droids. They've got blasters on their back. It's very cool. It reminds me of the original bad guys in the Solo movie. I forget what they were called, but the one that had the redheaded black lady. I don't know if it's just the heads and the cape aspect, but just very similar. And obviously this battle is going to take place after she pops up out the hole, because there's the hole. Okay, so I had an argument with some friends of mine about this. I said this was a separatist transport. The separatist transport that they get in Rebels. Another friend of mine said it was the Phantom 2. Now, I had forgotten that they actually turn the separatist transport they get into the Phantom 2, which made me even more surprised because I honestly had forgotten just how big the Ghost really is. The Ghost is a very big ship. And let me go back to this real quick. Hang on. Hang on. Okay. So it's a little blurry, and apologies. I can't really do anything about that. But we were kind of talking about what this was. And we've got what sort of looks like, again, if you go back to Solo, they have that ship that they are using to carry the coaxium, I think is what they're getting. This thing carrying this circular thing kind of reminds me of that. I have no idea what this is. I kind of thought maybe it's something that was at that temple that they're leaving. But again, this isn't a movie. So it's a TV show with a bunch of episodes. So it actually could be anything. Usually with a movie, it's a little easier to guess what's going on in the trailer. But because this is the TV show and a lot could be happening in the show, we hope, it's a little harder to figure out here. And here we there's Hera Syndulla. And before oh my gosh, really is very quick. Okay, hang on. There we go. Okay, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the makeup for Hera, and I get it. She looks very human with just tentacles on her head. I forget what the tentacles for Twi'leks are called, but she looks very human, and I understand being kind of annoyed about that. But I think it's one of those things where this is just as close as they could get. There's always going to be a difference with aliens when you put them in live action as opposed to animation. You can do a lot more in animation than you can in live action. And I think this is just an example of that limitation. But now we've got the most dangerous character in all of Star Wars, Chopper, who's killed millions. Cue the Doctor Who scene. Okay, and honestly, I kind of forget what happens after this point in the trailer.
Or others.
So this is one of the weird parts of the trailer. Okay, we're getting to the two Dark Jedi, and I think they're Dark Jedi. I don't think they're Sith. I think they're Dark Jedi. I'm not a fan of how this woman moves. It doesn't seem fluid enough. For me, Jedi have always kind of felt like elves, where their movements are always perfect and they don't jerk around, basically. And obviously Dark Jedi are not Jedi. Maybe there's a fraction of the Force. Whatever the case may be, I'm not a fan of how choppy hers and you'll see later someone else's movements are. So here we go. Okay, we have the Star Trek chair right there. So right there, I'm going to show this again. So she's using her lightsaber to block blaster bolts from what looks like one person. And I don't like how she moves her lightsaber. It just doesn't seem... It almost seems like what they're doing is saying, okay, we want you to go from position 1 to 3, back to 2, down to 6, and up, and do something with your hand. Now, that's could be very close to what they're actually saying, but the problem with that is you've got when you have good choreography, good fight choreography, like Gilliard did in the prequel trilogy, it's one of those things that you don't have to buy into. When it looks good, the actor or actress don't have to look at the camera to ask the viewer, just buy into this. So it's just bad lightsaber writing takes me out of it. And I'm just not a big fan of how this and another one look. It's not bad. It's better than Ahmed Best. It is better. And it's better than a lot of it's better than the sequel trilogy lightsabers, but it's not as good as the prequel trilogy. And the prequel trilogy lightsaber fighting is peak. I'd like to get back to that peak lightsaber fighting. Hopefully we see more of that this summer. I think it's coming in August. And I love this shot. So you've got 2 X-Wings with, honestly, I forgot what that is. A New Republic cruiser flying into Lothal. Because here we've got the sound tower that Ezra lived in on Lothal. And that person you saw was Sabine. So this looks very much like the ending of Rebels. So if what they're doing is kind of what the opposite of what they did with the final season of Clone Wars, and they're doing a live action version of some stuff we've already seen animated, in the same how they did animated version of what we saw live action. The problem with this is she doesn't have long hair in Rebels. So that hurts with the continuity aspect of the storyline. If it's not, maybe this is, a year after we saw them at the end of Rebels. So she'd have long hair.
It's been a while.
Let's see. And that helps because she says it's been a while. So maybe it has been a while. I was watching X-Wing react to this, and something he pointed out that I hadn't realized is she's not wearing, we don't see her wearing any armor, any of her Mandalorian armor, which is weird because we always saw her wearing it in the show. So who knows? Maybe that's just a little thing to show passage of time. Again, something we'll definitely find out.
Things have changed.
Space. Space. I love it. We're going back to space. We're going back to the stars in Star Wars. Hopefully.
I started
Mon Mothma and a bunch of other, I assume, senators that I don't know.
hearing whispers.
And this, oh my gosh, how I would have liked to be in the room at Star Wars Celebration when this went off. A live action Thrawn. And I'm well aware of the fact that most Star Wars fans that have any inkling of having read anything in the EU have read the original Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy, and that the Thrawn that Dave Filoni put in Rebels is not that Thrawn. I'm well aware of that. I like Dave Filoni's Thrawn. I'm going to read the original Thrawn trilogy. I actually think I'm going to start in about 20 minutes when I'm done with this video. I'm excited to see this Thrawn. I think he was very menacing, and having Lars Mikkelsen back to play this Thrawn is going to be very, very fun to watch. I really hope so. Again, they might mess it up. You know, Disney Star Wars has been messing up a lot of stuff lately, but I have some hope. Not a lot, but I have some. Okay, let's go.
About Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
Now, that was the really big thing that a lot of people that I've watched are annoyed about. Look, Star Wars has made a point, Disney has made a point that they are making this stuff for new fans. They don't care about us who grew up with Star Wars. They don't care about the book readers. They don't care about the video game players. They don't care about the people that want to see the original trilogies at Galaxy's Edge. They don't care about the prequel trilogy people. They hate the prequel trilogy. Apologies. They hate the prequel trilogy. They want their stuff front and center. And this is a problem because they are constantly dumping on the EU. They're constantly taking very small little things to kind of be member berries and try to say, hey, you fans that, there's a lot of you, but we don't really care about you. Here, fine. Here's your thing. You like it? The problem with Heir to the Empire is it's a Luke storyline. And, well, we know Disney doesn't like Luke. So how's this going to end up? But the other problem is way to be on the nose. I mean, seriously, putting the name of the book in the trailer, that was just a way to get social media talking about it, which I guess I've taken their bait. Okay. This, if I remember correctly, this is the lady from the Jedi episode of The Mandalorian that actually fights Ahsoka with the Beskar spear. So she's back. So are we going to have prequel episodes and future episodes? It's kind of what it's looking like. Now this is, how far does that go? Wow, 5 seconds. Okay, so this has been a big topic of conversation on Twitter, and it's whether or not they are in the world between worlds right now. Personally, I don't think they are. For one reason that a bunch of people have pointed out is it wouldn't make sense to have excavation equipment, which is what these lights are, inside the world between worlds. This is probably a lost Jedi temple, and the Empire or the Imperial Remnant or whoever is trying to excavate it and find a new way in. That Oh, I actually just thought about this. What if this remnant, this Thrawn group, it has decided that they need to rebuild a temple so that they can get into the world between worlds. And that's what we saw them grabbing earlier at the beginning of this trailer. They're taking a part of that temple that we saw the fight at and quote unquote hooking it up so that they can get into the world between worlds. I hate it, but it's kind of stupid enough that I think that's something they would do. Then here we come. So here's who is apparently going to be the big baddie, or the main henchman. Thrawn being the big baddie, this guy being the main henchman, and then the woman that you saw earlier being his apprentice or acolyte. So here's one of the big things. First off, looks a little better. You know, the light looks kind of equal throughout the blade that we see. It doesn't have the same problem that Ahmed Best's green lightsaber had, where all the light was basically down there at the bottom because it's a base lit saber. So it's very bright at the bottom and duller at the top.
We have to prepare for the
Harrison Dula. So something else that someone pointed out: these rebellion uniforms look terrible. I'm talking about these ones. I don't love these. They look a little cheap cosplay-ish. Like, it kind of looks like this vest he's got is about a size too big. But this just looks terrible. I mean, come on. It looks like clothing serfs wore back in the Middle Ages, minus the whole collar thing. But I'm kind of picturing a scene for something. I cannot remember for the life of me what it is, but it looks very similar to something that like that. I like her outfit. I like Hera's outfit. I think her head is a little small, and I think that's the problem. You know, Syndulla kind of had a bigger head. And I know that's a very weird thing to say, but again, I think it's just one of the problems with going from animation to live action. Still, you know, she's got the jacket, she's got the yellowish pants, and the pilot captain or pilot hat. I like it. They stay true to the character.
worst.
Okay, so I'm going to show you something with this, and then I might be able to show you. Okay, no. Okay, so this is the two things that are kind of annoying me right now. Okay, we've got, he just lit his saber up, and this is her lighting her saber up. Maybe I need to go watch the old ones again. But I feel like everyone's starting to hold their lightsabers really close to the top. And they've got really long handles. I get that in actual swordplay, in swordcraft, you would hold the sword if you were one-handed. If you were doing one-handed fighting, you would hold the sword closer to the crossguard to get that balance. But if I remember correctly, lightsabers aren't supposed to be, or at least prior to Disney, weren't heavy. They were light and almost weightless, I thought. Please, if you get this far in the comments, let me know if I'm wrong about that. Okay. And then we see her. I think this is like the last little stupid thing I think about this. I can't pause it quick enough. Okay. She's getting ready to push off of of something. Like, why'd she? And apparently the reason for this is because his lightsaber is a heavy blade. So Disney has created new types of lightsabers, and you can have heavy blades or light blades. And so it looks like she's trying to get extra force by pushing off of this giant rock. Just another example of something stupid that Disney did. Let's see. Okay, we're almost done here. We've got a fight in space. Finally. I know we had that little bit of space dogfighting in the first episode of The Mandalorian, season 3, but it's called Star Wars for a reason. It's not Earth Wars, it's not Planet Wars, it's Star Wars. It takes place in the stars.
The Jedi fell around time.
Now, this is I do believe this is my last gripe. Actually, I have one more, but it's not a big gripe. So, first off, everyone gets a hallway scene. But I don't like how he moves here. It seems very 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And what I mean by that is when you're training, when you first start learning how to sword fight for a role, not in real life, but when you first start learning for acting, you are basically taught numbers. So 1 can be straight up, as if you're just holding your sword straight up. 2 would be bring your hand up so that the sword's crossing your face. 3 could be pointed down. 4 would be something like maybe the same position as 2, but lower. And so that you know what number to go to in the scene. So if the fight is supposed to be 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 5, you know what positions to go to. It's choreography. This just seems a little poorly choreographed. Now, maybe, as someone else said, he's so good, he knows exactly where that hand's supposed to go, and he doesn't have to even think about it. I don't know. There's Ezra. Looks fine. Good casting. I don't really have anything to say about that because we don't really, that's the only time we see him. And there's an Inquisitor. A lot of people have said it's the 8th brother. I don't have anything to say about that either. I will say beyond the 2 new Dark Jedi, the lightsaber fighting does look pretty good. I like seeing someone finally using the Force as we know it to be, pushing in battle. We've seen that before. So I like that we're seeing some older Force use and not new things like Force healing. Let's see. Outcast, Rebel, and Jedi. Even though she's said many times that she's not a Jedi. So I'll be curious to see what she does there. And she gets a superhero landing. This is the last thing I'm upset about. At least I don't like that they brought Hewing back without getting David Tennant to do the voice again. David Tennant did the voice for Hewing in the Padawan episodes of the Clone Wars, and he was excellent. I don't like that we have a new voice. That is the trailer. And of course, we see here the map type stuff behind the name is stuff from the World Between Worlds. So Ahsoka looks like it's going to lean heavily into that. We know it's not to retcon the sequels because they're making a new Rey movie. And I'll do videos on that stuff later. But I'll be very interested to see why we're doing World Between Worlds stuff if we're not using it to end stuff in the sequels. I think it's being used to get Grogu further into the timeline. Or maybe back into the timeline, further back into the timeline. We'll see. Now, I know I complained a lot about this, and this video actually turned out to be much longer than I originally expected it to be. But I'm actually a little excited for this. I said on a stream the other night that this trailer had brought me back to neutral because just how bad the last episode of The Mandalorian was. That's episode 6. But this trailer, there's a lot of good things that we saw in it. There's some silly things, but there wasn't anything that was like, are you kidding me? That's so wrong. That's terrible. I hate it. There was, at least for me, there might be some people out there that didn't like any of it. I'm a little optimistic about this, and I'm optimistic for a couple reasons. One, the trailer looked good. And in the past, the trailer hasn't always looked good. And two, this is Dave Filoni's TV show. And as much as I may not be totally on board with Dave Filoni as the head of the writing room or whatever he is now, Ahsoka is his baby. Ahsoka is the thing that he added to Star Wars. And I don't think he wants to mess her up. So why would he do anything to ruin the show? So based solely on his narcissism for Ahsoka, I think he'll do everything to make sure it's a good show. I'll leave it there. I'm 6.5 out of 10 right now. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this. Please like and subscribe, comment below on any thoughts you had on the video, and follow us on Twitter at KingsAdvisors_.